Welcome to Premier League predictions for round 11. Last one before the international break, Mikey. Looks like I'm in need of a rest because I only got 2 outcomes of the 10 last time. You grabbed yourself 5, which is passable, isn't it? You're 50% there. So that's a 5-2 win for you, Mikey. Puts you 71-67 up on the cumulative. And the week to week, you are 6-4 up. So I don't know, you're stamping your marker down. I could really do with a win today to go into the international break feeling more confident. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, I needed that. I think it would have been 3 defeats in 3 weeks otherwise. A solid performance, but definitely not spectacular. Maybe a difficult week to predict that one.
Yeah, it's sort of like a Mick McCarthy type win, steady but not spectacular. There you go. Mention for Big Mick early in the proceedings here, which is probably a good time for me to plug as well, that we simulcast all of these shows over on the Blue Monday feed. And all those lovely people will, I don't know how they will have felt when I mentioned Mick, but there you go. However you feel, Mikey, we implore everybody to copy and paste all these scores from the description down there. Have a go at the predictions. It's harder than it looks. Give yourself 1 point for a correct outcome. See if you can get more than 2 and you'll be better than me. Give yourself 3 for a correct scoreline and give yourself a bonus point. Mikey went all in on a glorious 4-3 for Brentford and Fulham last night. Nearly, Mikey, and misses as good as a mile away. But get involved in the comments. And we will start you off with last week's heroes. And they're not Brentford, they're Bournemouth. Because neither of us have Bournemouth beating Manchester City. Bournemouth head to the G-Tech for a tricky trip to Brentford.
Yeah, I think we have to start with Bournemouth, don't we? One of the results of the season and one of the results of AFC Bournemouth's entire history, ending that long unbeaten run of Manchester City. If you remember, Ben, I was toying with the idea of going for Bournemouth. I think that you were as well pre-show, but then you went with Man City. So we kind of knew something was potentially in the offing, but neither of us were brave enough to put our balls on the table and go for Bournemouth to win. I don't know. That's not a saying, is it? But here we are.
No, but it's definitely not getting edited out.
But yeah, what a win for Bournemouth. I really like that front 3 of theirs. Front 4 even, with Semenyo, Tavernier, and then Kluivert behind Evan Nilsson, who's really found his feet in recent weeks. He didn't think twice about that finish, did he? Just threw himself in there and directed the cross into the bottom corner. Brentford went for a different approach at Fulham on Monday night, didn't they? They scored against the run of play and then just defended for their lives, really. They brought Brian Burmo off pretty late in the game, and yeah, it didn't work out for them in the end. Fulham we'll get to them. They were decent and I think deserved that win, but Brentford are a much better side at home, and they're unbeaten in their 7 Premier League games against Bournemouth. Actually, no, sorry, unbeaten in their last 7. They've never lost in the Premier League to Bournemouth. I expect them to continue that here, but I'm going to back Bournemouth to get a decent away point here. I'm going for Brentford 2, Bournemouth 2.
Yeah, that's a scribble for me. I've got both teams to scoring draw, trying to pay respect to Brentford's brilliant home form and respect to Bournemouth's brilliant win. Which side am I going to fall on then? Okay. Let's go with Bournemouth. They're the hot hand, aren't they? So I will shave a goal off Brentford from your prediction. And would that be like a first home defeat of the season for Brentford? Probably would be. I haven't looked that one up. But I know they're very good at home. But I'll go for a home defeat here. Brentford 1, Bournemouth 2. And I'll move on to a Roy Hodgson derby here. It's Crystal Palace versus Fulham. Palace could have gone under at Wolves, couldn't they? Rescued themselves. They could have won it at the end, to be fair. But and we'll talk about this with reference to another game. I think keeping teams at arm's length and not losing away games to teams in the bottom 3 is still a decent enough result, isn't it? Are they going to get something in this one? Oh, I'm really conflicted on this one. You've already taken a draw, so I don't feel too bad throwing up 2 fingers and taking a draw. I'm not going to put my balls on the table, though, Mikey, but I am going to go 1-1 and be very, very boring here. Palace 1, Fulham 1.
Yeah, maybe I'm still high on Fulham's win over Brentford, but I'm going to go for another Fulham 2-1 win here at Palace. Palace, just not the same team without Eze. He might be back for this one. We don't know yet, but yeah, they're not quite the same going forward without him. And I'm still not sure on Lacroix at the back. I don't think that he definitely hasn't been an upgrade on Anderson, who's fitted in really well at Fulham. I think he was decent again against Brentford. Fantastic passing range and very good at defending his penalty area. And yeah, possibly a bit of a momentum switch that for Fulham as well. It's one of those where if you lose a game when you create so many chances, it can really knock your confidence. But if you can turn a game around that looked lost, then it can go completely the other way. So I'm backing them here in this sort of Southwest London derby to nick a 2-1 win.
Good disclaimer on the derby conversation again.
It's not a derby that way. I won't even go there.
West Ham versus Everton. David
Yeah,
derby.
really struggling with this one, Ben. West Ham were so poor at Nottingham Forest, and Fabianski pulled off a couple of amazing saves. There was a red card, yeah, but that was coming just losing control of Nottingham Forest counter attack, and yeah, just flying in, just poor discipline across the pitch from them. Everton did lose at Southampton, but I thought they were a little bit unlucky from what I saw.
Yeah.
And both of these teams, West Ham and Everton, are going to confuse us a little bit because we've both seen them play well and control a game against our team, Ipswich, haven't we? So it's probably not a surprise that I'm struggling with this one. So I'm going to just take the cop out here and go for 1F in 1.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Being you've done that, although there's a pattern here, I went away win last time you did that. So shall I go home win? Because I didn't want to double up your draw in Brentford versus Bournemouth. Oh, do I really want to go home win? I don't think I do. I do think the draw is very, very likely in this game. But I'll play tactically and I'll take West Ham. I'll take the home win. And should we go for another 1-0? Should we go back-to-back 1-0 defeats for Everton, which even though I don't see them getting horribly close, would kind of pull them back in to the bottom three picture. West Ham 1, Everton 0. Speaking of the bottom three picture, look at this one. Wolves versus Southampton. And one of us has got to do it, and it's going to be me. I'm going to back Southampton purely because Wolves are still without the win, aren't they? And I think Gary O'Neill could possibly lose his job if he loses this game, because we kind of set it up, Mikey, that they had difficult fixtures and then it was going to even out because they were going to play Palace and then they were going to play Southampton. Well played, Saints. They got the first win. It was pretty on a knife edge, wasn't it? But I think this could be significant, and I'll play for a bonus point into my ridiculous prediction. I'm going to go Wolves 2, Southampton 3.
Wowza. I was expecting a draw to be the popular result here, because obviously that would benefit us, wouldn't it? Wolves have won their last 5 games against Southampton, Ben, for what that's worth. They do leak goals, but Southampton don't score very many. And I just think Wolves are just a slightly better team than Southampton. So I'm going safe here with a 2-1 home win for Wolves.
There we go. And you are up first. Ooh, interested to see what you do with this one. Brighton versus Manchester City. I think you're definitely going to have Brighton scoring. I think you might have Man City dropping points, but we're going to find out right now.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and I really wasn't sure which way I was going to go. Brighton were really close to another decent result away at Liverpool, but they have dropped 10 points from winning positions, which is worrying for them. And Manchester City are the comeback kings, aren't they? They'll let you take the lead and then come back. So that might be what happens here. City are missing key players, but they love playing at Brighton. They've got a really good record there over the years.
They won the title there once, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It survived an early scare, but did eventually win the title there. Gundogan scored. Obviously, he's back and he's getting game time because of the lack of midfield options. But I think that they'll find a lot of space. I'm just basing this off that first half between Brighton and Spurs. And I know, Brighton fans, that you ended up winning that game impressively. But in that first half, Spurs created so many chances playing in a style that I'd expect Manchester City to play at the Amex. So I'm going to go for quite a high-scoring one here. I'm going Brighton 1, Manchester City 3.
Nice. Look, Mikey, I'm sure someone will do it in the comments at the end of the season and figure out how many times I've predicted Man City to win this season. And I don't get many times when I don't predict them to win. And I just feel like, I don't know, it feels like you can score past them and like everything's not perfectly calibrated like it probably will be in about 3 months' time or what have you. So I will take the opportunity to go for Man City to drop points. I'm not feeling confident enough to predict the defeat, but maybe it'll be like we thought the Bournemouth game was going to end and he's going to nick a goal at the end and draw 2-2. So I'll take a Desmond here and kind of play into the idea that we have such high standards for Man City and they're just a little bit off them at the moment.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
Liverpool versus Aston Villa. So Mikey and I are recording on Tuesday here. Liverpool play tonight, really tricky one, against Bayer Leverkusen. When do Villa play, Mikey? They must play.
Villa play on Wednesday, but it's in Bruges, which isn't a bad trip, and it's an early game. It's 5:30 our time, so not a bad. They should be back at a reasonable time on Wednesday night, and this game is late on Saturday as well, so they could
it's 8 p.m.,
they could
right?
leave the travel quite late as well. So this one's not too bad for Champions League, but you just don't know. You don't know what injuries they're going to pick up in these games, right?
Yeah, I know Spurs can Spurs sometimes, but Villa really collapsed in that second half. Very out of character for such a well-organised, sensibly managed team. I think Villa are going to lose by a single goal. I think it's going to be a close, tight game here. So I'll take Liverpool and I'll take 1-0, Mikey.
Yeah, that's
scribble
a scribble for me. That's annoying because I think that is a sensible choice because you kind of expect Emery to get them really organised in this game and not make the same mistakes that they made in the second half. All right then, I'm still going to back Liverpool here. I'm going to go for the 2-1 win here for Liverpool. I expect a reaction from Villa, but I think Liverpool slightly too strong, especially at home.
Manchester United versus Leicester, which will be the last game before Ruben Amorim takes over.
Yeah, Ruud van Nistelrooy's last game in charge, and he'll hope it goes the same way as his first game in charge, which was against Leicester in the Carabao Cup. Yeah. They won that one 5-2, didn't they? Quite a chaotic game. I know Leicester didn't have their best team out, but still quite impressive in that game. But they were so disjointed against Chelsea, Ben. I don't think I've ever found a game easier to fall asleep in front of than the first half of that Manchester United-Chelsea game. It was just the perfect cadence, perfect volume of commentary and all of that. But they still could have won that game, Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes had that big chance at the end. Leicester have been tough opponents for everyone without being brilliant. I think this could be another chaotic game like the Carabao Cup game. So I'm going to go for a bonus point here. I'm going Manchester United 4, Leicester 2.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I just wonder, Mikey, the whole fresh start paradigm and new manager bounce and things of that nature. Does it almost start in this game before, although there's an international break, so whether it starts in the training, whether
I think it's a bit of a clean break, this one.
Yeah. Okay. In which case, can I give Leicester a point? Can I have them going to Manchester United and getting a draw and the kind of does it really class as the Eric Ten Hag era? Still, it's his team, isn't it? Kind of fairly middling, not winning a home game against the team they should be beating. I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll back Manchester United by a single goal. Feels like I often overestimate Manchester United, though, doesn't it? I'm going to do it again, and I'll fall on my sword. Manchester United 2, Leicester 1. And let's talk about third place, Nottingham Forest. And I said earlier on today, I was doing something. I said Chris Wood will have a point to prove, but apparently he scored a hat-trick against Newcastle last season. So I think he's already proved that point well and truly. How can you back against Forest at the moment? I thought, foolishly, Mikey, at the weekend, they've been so great, they'll draw against West Ham, won't they? I'm not going to make that mistake again, and I will be backing against Forest to win and to keep a clean sheet. Forest 2, Newcastle 0. Forest for the title.
Brilliant. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Good for you. Good for your channel as well.
Yeah, right. Good for football.
Pearce, yeah, and for football. Yes, this is the Stuart Pearce derby, isn't it? Or Elliot Anderson, who's settled in really well at Nottingham Forest, and I know that
goalie go the other way.
Yeah, I think so. But that was definitely a transfer that didn't sit particularly well with the Newcastle fans. That one,
no.
But yeah, Forest, as you say, up to third. What a season so far. Part of me wants to back them, but Newcastle, I mean, I've got them wrong 2 weeks in a row. They were good against Arsenal, and Anthony Gordon, who's one of my favourite players, he just
that was
brings
like
out
Keith
the best.
Gillespie to Alan Shearer. You must have thought that.
It was,
goal.
yeah,
Brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was beautiful, wasn't it? It was. I think Alan Shearer was watching it at PLP, and he said that was a '90s cross into the box, and yeah, a fantastic bullet headed from Isak as well. Gordon, obviously a real threat, but he also brings out the best in Isak. And Isak scored 2 in this fixture last season. I'm backing him to score again, but I can't quite go for Newcastle to win. I'm going Forest, informed Forest 2, Newcastle 2.
Here you go, Mikey. Spurs versus winless Ipswich Town.
Yeah, game of two halves for Spurs against Aston Villa, wasn't it? And they show what they're all about at the attacking end in the second half of that game. I didn't really see it coming either.
Smashy and grabby to be one up anyway, though.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I wasn't impressed by Spurs in that first half.
Fair.
And Ollie Watkins could have made it 2-0 on another day as well. But they've got so much pace and so much intelligent movement in this team, and I just worry about Ipswich's midfield against the likes of Sarr. Bentancur and Morsey are going to go to war with each other, and Kayusti is going to have to be on his game against Sarr because he covers so much ground and does so much good work for them. And then obviously we know all about Spurs' attacking options, and Kulusevski now playing through the middle. That seems to have unlocked something for them. But they're possibly still missing Mickey van der Ven. So Liam Delap will probably be licking his lips with the idea of going up against slightly slower centre-backs that he can battle with. Ipswich were unlucky and so close against Leicester. I think just a really good performance is important here. I don't think many people are expecting a result, and I'm not going to predict one because let's face it, hasn't worked for me yet this season. So I'm going to go for Tottenham 3, Ipswich 1.
It's a scribble for me. I think Ipswich will score. I think Tottenham go behind. I think I was listening to James Richardson earlier on today, and he had some stat about how often Spurs do go behind. I'm not saying they're going to go behind, but I do think Ipswich can score. But their pressing is so exaggerated, isn't it? Spurs, and you just when you saying Kulusevski, Johnson, Son Heung-min and Solanke, Maddis, it's very concerning. So I could come down to a 2-0, or I could, if my team's going to lose, I could take a bonus point here and go up to a 4-2. I'm going to go up to a 4-2, and maybe Liam Delap will get a couple of goals, and we can feel good about that. But
Kieran McKenna he'll be playing this one in the dressing room, Ben, before the game. Look at these two Ipswich fans on YouTube backing against you.
I love you.
Me too.
Yeah, play that bit. That's all you need to play. But yeah, Tottenham 4, Ipswich 2. Sorry. And I'll move on to Chelsea versus Arsenal. And Chelsea are above Arsenal in the table, Mikey.
Yeah.
Get an agenda about that one, Mikey. Deary me. They're going to get some. I always back Arsenal, don't I? But Chelsea, are my not guilty pleasure now. And Arsenal go to Inter on Wednesday. That's a hard old game, isn't it? They're going to be in bother, aren't they, if they don't win this game in terms of the title race? Especially we've backed. Did we both back Liverpool to win? I think we did,
Yep.
didn't we? Yeah. Oh, Arsenal dropped more points. That game where Kanu scored a hat trick, was that 3-3 or was that 3-2 to Arsenal?
3-2 to the Arsenal. Yeah,
You're
you
such a
believe
nerd, Mikey. I knew you'd know that. I was hoping it was going to be 3-3 and I could just call it 3-3 for
just do it.
Irrelevant reasons. Go on then. I'll call a 3-3, and for the Sunday game and the last one before the international break to be massively entertaining, Chelsea 3, Arsenal 3. Say something more sensible, Mikey, please.
Yeah, I'm going Chelsea 2, Arsenal 1. Whoever loses
So
this game is out of
Arsenal
the title
losing.
race. Yeah, I just fear for Arsenal. I mean, you talked about needing this international break, Ben, to recalibrate. I think Arsenal need it even more, especially with the news that Edu's moving on as well. It's just constant bad vibes coming out of the club at the moment, which is a shame because they were in such a strong position going into this season and a lot of people's title favourites. But yeah, they need this international break, but probably not as much as they need 3 points in this game. This could turn their season around again if they get the points from this game. But yeah, I do fear for Arsenal. I'm going for a narrow Chelsea win.
Yeah, there is the scenario where they go and they really say, no, we are a class team and win 3-0 or something. But I just wonder with the busy week and like you say, where it's positioned at the end of the international break, that it may be tricky. Get involved with your own predictions. Copy and paste. There are mine and Mikey's up on the screen. And give yourself 1 point for a correct outcome, 3 points for a correct scoreline, and a bonus point if your scoreline contains 5 or more goals. It's international break, as we've mentioned several times during this show, so there will be no Mikey on the channel next week, but he will be back in a fortnight I suppose we're beginning the run up to Christmas then, and a quite heavily stacked December. So do let us know how you want Mike and I to proceed with the calendar in December, and we'll see how many of these we can get done for you. Mikey, I suppose in your profession now, take stock now while you can before the mad rush begins. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I celebrated when you said international break, Ben, is I just get a quieter week of work. That's the only reason. Obviously, I miss the domestic football as much as anyone. International breaks I quite enjoy anyway. I enjoy international football, but I'm not particularly excited for UEFA Nations League at
Greece
the
and
moment.
Ireland again, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I am going to Spurs on Saturday, Ben. Getting the train.
Well,
up to
actually,
Spurs.
are you joining me on the we'll be together on the Blue Monday podcast?
Yeah. So I'll save my Seven Sisters joke for the Blue Monday show.
Oh dear. Well, we can do a little plug then. If you want to catch up with me, if you want some Mikey before he's next on this channel, head over to the Blue Monday. I feel bad for predicting that you're going to have to see Spurs score 4 times against Ipswich. But there you go. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Get your predictions in the comments, and we'll see you all very soon.